Hey guys, this is Alan from Queen Creek Tropicals, and in today's episode I'm going to be reviewing and giving you some growing tips about the Chaya plant, which can be seen right behind me. If you're not familiar with Chaya, it's actually also called the tree spinach. And if you're looking for a perennial plant that actually grows very easily with minimal care, you can try growing a spinach tree. Now this plant, I don't know where it's native from. It's also called the Mexican Chaya, so I assume Mexico. It grows very quickly. You can grow it from cuttings. They can take full sun, even 120 degrees here in the desert, guys. No issues at all, as long as you water. If you don't water, it will die, obviously. And winter protection, all you gotta do is just frost protected. Now, if it gets super cold, guys, I'm talking about like, I would say mid-20s or even lower, what's gonna happen is the tree will actually take damage. And if your tree is not fully rooted in the ground, it may completely die to the ground and not come back. This is the reason why I always recommend planting this tree actually early in the season, so that way it has plenty of time to grow roots in the ground before winter hits. If you live in zone 9s, you shouldn't have any issues at all, guys. The worst is gonna happen, as long as your tree has roots in the ground, it will look ugly in the winter, but it will come back in the spring once the night temperatures actually go up. But anyways, let me show you the tree. This tree right here, it's about, I would say, a little older than a year and a few months old. I planted it late last year, and it was a little too late. Thankfully, it did not get that cold last winter, and my tree just took some minimal damage, but it didn't die to the ground. And then this is fully grown, guys. This tree right here, I'm looking at it, my structure is 10 feet tall. So this tree, it's about 11 to 12 feet tall, fully grown. And as you can see, what usually happens is they grow very quickly, and it's very soft wood. So if you get a lot of wind, your branches are actually gonna fall over. And I should have probably cut those off, because when that happened, it looked really ugly. But you can see actually it started growing branches right off the branch that fell over because of the wind, and it completely filled this area up. Now, one of the main attractions for this plant, it's very ornamental, very easy to grow, but it's not just for the looks, guys. This plant is actually edible. It's called a spinach tree for a reason, because the taste is very similar to spinach, and it's way more nutritional than actually eating spinach. The only thing about this plant is you have to cook it in order to eat it. You can't eat it raw. So you can just boil it for a few minutes, or you can fry it. The leaves are edible, the stems are edible. And it's not just about the taste and being edible, it's actually very nutritional for you. I'm not really into the health stuff, I'm not too knowledgeable about it, but the main thing that I found people actually eat this plant for diabetes, because it actually, people claim, I haven't tried it, don't quote me, that it actually lowers their glucose levels when they actually eat this plant. You can dry the leaves, you can make it into a powder, you can add it to your salads, to smoothies. And another thing that I found out about this plant is since you get a lot of leaves, you can dry them out very easily. You can you can mix it in your animal feed, like, you know, if you have cows or if you have pigs or anything like that, you can mix it like 25% ratio. So it saves you some money, and since this plant is so easy to actually grow, you can grow many of them and save money on actual animal feed. All you gotta do is dry it out, grind it, and then put it in the feed. But like I said, guys, full sun all day, no issues. They do take about 3 to 6 months to root themselves in the ground, so for that time you will not see any growth out of it. That is normal. Another thing is, it will only grow when it's hot at night. It will not grow when it's cold at night. So if you get 100 degrees during the daytime and it gets cold at night, this plant is not going to grow. This is the reason why I do not recommend planting this late in the year, because, well, this plant mainly grows when it's hot at night. Winter protection, guys, like I said, it's mainly frost sensitive. So this plant right here, I will do another update after our first freeze, and I will show you how ugly it's gonna look But as long as your plant is fully rooted in the ground, you will not have any issues. It's a perennial, so it will come back in the spring as long as your soil does not freeze. How cold can you grow this plant in? As long as your soil does not freeze in the winter, this plant will come back from the root system. If your soil freezes in the winter, guys, yeah, I'm sorry, but this plant will probably die in your area. And water, it's drought tolerant, but obviously just because you don't water it doesn't mean it's gonna grow vigorously. So if you want it to grow like mine right here, within a year, you water when dry. So I usually water, this plant is on a watering cycle right now about every 4 or 5 days for about, just because I have other plants with deep roots in the ground, about, you know, I water for 3 to 4 hours, and it's just slow drip. This plant has shallow roots, so, and yeah. Another thing about this plant, guys, container growing. This plant does not do well in a container long term. Let me show you. This is a cutting that I started early this year, and this is the same age as that plant over there that's in the ground. Actually, no, this is a little younger, but you can see the size difference because this is in a container and then the other one, it's in the ground. It doesn't look good. I mean, there's no reason to keep this in a container. Can you grow in a container? Of course you can. You can grow most plants in a container. But the main difference is going to be, is it going to do well in a container long term? And this plant, it's not. Because it has a vigorous root system and it needs space to actually grow, and it will root out any container you put it in. So that's why you need to put it in the ground if you want to grow this plant. If you are satisfied with this type of growth right here, like the one that I have in this container, then of course you just keep it in a container. What's going to happen is once it becomes root bound, you will need to keep it water, and if you do, it's just not going to look as nice, but you can harvest some of the leaves if that's what you are after. Alright guys, so that's everything you need to know about the Chaya tree. Very easy to grow, it's very ornamental, super nutritional, everything is edible out of it as long as you cook it, and you can easily grow from cuttings. Cuttings can be purchased online anywhere, but if you want to purchase it from us, it'll be on our website in the spring next year. We only carry this plant during the growing season because, like I said, that's the best time to actually grow it. You can easily grow from cuttings, or you can also buy a rooted cutting or an actual plant in a container as well, usually only during the summer months. If you have any other questions, guys, let me know. This plant is super easy. Don't overthink it, guys. I mean, just stick it in the ground. As long as it drains the water in the ground, you won't have any issues, and it will grow in any soil. My soil here is full clay, so I mean, it doesn't get any worse than that unless you're growing in full rocks and your soil will not drain the water at that point. But as long as it drains the water, no issues at all. No special fertilizers, just compost in the ground. In the containers, any slow release fertilizer will work. Anyways, guys, any additional questions you may have, just comment below. Don't forget to like the video, click the notification bell, and subscribe, and I will see you next time.